Florida Governor Ron DeSantis officially launching a run for president. So far, he poses the biggest threat to frontrunner Donald Trump, but he still trails the former president in the latest Fox News poll by more than 30 points.
Lee Carter is a pollster and president of Malansky Partners, and she joins us now. Lee, always great to see you. So we're going to go right to this poll. It's Trump versus DeSantis. I mean, 53% for Trump, 20% for DeSantis. I know there's still a lot of time between now and November of 2024, but can he make that much headway?
You know, it's a really interesting question because what polls really do is they show us a snapshot at a moment in time. DeSantis has lost a huge amount of momentum. If you look back 2 months, he was neck and neck with Donald Trump. Now he's far behind. He's got a lot of ground to make up. And so last night's announcement was really an important step in him attempting to do that. And I don't think he was able to pull it off.
Well, the good news for DeSantis, everything went technically perfect. Oh, wait, no, it didn't. Let's roll the tape and watch exactly what happened.
Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce two individuals who've done more to loosen the grip. All right, sorry about that. We've got so many people here that I think we are kind of melting the servers, which is a good sign.
Let's see. So, are we on? Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Lee, so which narrative moves the needle this morning? The DeSantis narrative of, wow, we were so popular, we broke the internet, or the Trump narrative of, you're too young, failure to launch?
Well, I think what one of the biggest problems I think DeSantis is going to have is he's running on this idea that he's this common sense conservative, that he does all of these things. He fights the elite. He's going to do things that are practical and make sense. And yet he couldn't even pull off an announcement video. If he had, a lot of people would say, look, he's young, he's using a new platform, he's with Elon Musk, he's an entrepreneur, he's a business-friendly guy. None of that happened. Now all we're going to talk is about the failure to launch.
Well, we do have to talk about the comparison of the campaign launches because they have been starkly different to what DeSantis showed us. Here's DeSantis' message during his tech-challenged Twitter launch. Watch this.
Well, I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback. Look, we know our country's going in the wrong direction. We see it with our eyes and we feel it in our bones. I don't think it has to be this way. American decline is not inevitable. It is a choice.
Okay, so Lee, back in November, Trump was the first to declare his candidacy in front of a massive crowd, shoulder to shoulder at Mar-a-Lago. Watch this one.
The Biden administration has destroyed the U.S. economy, just destroyed it. With victory, we will again build the greatest economy ever. In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
So we have that visual. We have the audience cheering. We had nothing with DeSantis. Don't forget about Tim Scott announcing this week as well, and people were fired up. So was he missing that visual aspect of an announcement?
He absolutely missed the visual. I mean, look at Donald Trump with all the flags, Tim Scott with his mother on stage, and all of those people, and the energy was contagious. Ron DeSantis really lost a big opportunity. Now, here's what's interesting is every Republican candidate is now putting America as the centerpiece of their campaign, whether they say we can be great again or America is great. And that's in stark contrast with the Democrats. The question really we have is who can do it best, right? Who can restore American greatness? Who are we going to put our faith in? And that's what the test is really going to be because everybody's running on that same concept. The Democrats are taking away America first, the American economy, American greatness. We need to restore it.
And DeSantis had a 7-month sneak peek at what Trump did, and that's what he came up with after 7 months.
And
it's a little questionable.
$200 million.
You mentioned the America First. Let's take a look at how people are running with America First in their campaign ads. Watch.
I'm running to lead a great American comeback. We know the country's on the wrong track. We see it with our eyes.
America is the land of opportunity, not oppression.
I'll tell you this, America First does not belong to Donald Trump. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to those voters we just looked at. It belongs to the people of this country.
2024 is the final battle. That's going to be the big one. If you put me back in the White House, their reign will be over, and America will be a free nation once again.
Are those campaign pitches enough to boot Biden?
Well, they could be, because there is a fundamental underlying belief here that America is great in all of them. The question really is, there's only one candidate, Tim Scott, who said America is great. Everybody said America used to be great. And I think that's a big, interesting framing difference.
We will see. Lee Carter, awesome to have you on set.
You, Lee.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.